games for Europe right now. Who will be the 4 teams to qualify? We will know very, very soon. And well, we just saw the southernmost part of the map have an end zone. And guess what, Sundown? We've gone to the complete opposite side now.
Going from corner to corner, coast to coast, no problem here. Slightly north of Sunny Steps as Bleach pushes right into Simbits' box and says bye-bye.
Absolutely. It's funny, it's a very similar scenario to that last game. One thing to keep in mind to point out, too, is, you know, while these zones have absolutely played a part in why there's less players, you've also got to think at the end, when we talk about time control, players just kind of going for it, going for those elims, looking for some fast points, hoping to maybe catch in time to hop into another game before time runs out. Maybe they play this one as like a, hey, let's drop in, get as many elims as we can in the first 2 minutes, then hop into another queue, right?
Yeah, and just try and like burn your way out through taking many of those fights. But then the issue becomes if you're like, oh, you're in one of those throwaway games, all of a sudden you get 7 elims and a nice loadout. You're like, well, at what point is this not a quote-unquote throwaway game, right? Because you really want to be able to convert that. And another interesting thing there, oh, I apologize, we're not north of Sunny Steps, we're just north of the block here on that side. One interesting thing to note with the moving zones from 5 and onward, because you do go from point to point, there's times where in these edge of map situations, it's very rare, but you can effectively be completely off the map for some of that traversal. Yeah, it's nuts what could wind up happening here. As you see, it will move towards the northwest. Do want to point out again for the viewers at home, Stormy definitely has over 50 builds. Just since we joined this game, the spectator system's catching on up there with the inventory. But it looks like they'll both hop in their ballers and probably clear on out, as it's time to begin the rotation towards the next zone. 31 players remaining, 19 duos, so already a lot of these teams very, very close to earning those 3 placement points for reaching the top 15. Yes, and if you guys are a little bit new, first, welcome back in. And I know there are some of the issues like Jack was just talking about maybe the toolbar's not updating or the builds, the elim's not going through. It's because we've swapped up a little bit in terms of how we're spectating and jumping into these matches. We're constantly iterating on it as well. And in addition to that, these tools are available to you if you want to check it out. There's generally a post put up on one of the subreddits. I think it's the competitive one where it goes up. So you can check it out, jump into some of these replays, try them out yourself. But we appreciate you guys hanging with us because we just want to catch as much Fortnite action as possible.
Oh yeah, I like this format a lot. It's hopping right into the juiciest part of the games. Obviously, there's a couple story aspects you miss out on, but in qualifiers like this, when there's so much going on, you just want to see as many players, as many end games as possible.
Well, for me, I want to see as many interactions as possible, right? So it's for the early and mid games, they're nice when teams are forced to interact, whether it's initial gun drops or gun races, or like you catch somebody rotating to the edge of the circle. But from circle 4 and 5, you're guaranteed to see players forced to interact with each other. And just because in Fortnite, there's so many options for how those interactions play out. And when the players are this absurdly good, I mean, it's real interesting.
Now, one thing to take note of here, Sundown, is the zone going right back towards the block where it really just was. There's going to be a ton of previous build in there that teams will have to keep track of. Don't overbuild when you know, hey, let's reconnect to our big tunnel we had. Let's set back up where we once were to save ourselves from having to burn through a lot of mats. You see right now, Zynie and Mongoose just tunneling on out.
But getting caught in that rotation
by an RPG. And it looks like because they break the shields, it's like, hey, let's pressure them right away.
Yeah, you know, forced emergency rift there coming from the 2 boys on native as they're jumping away. You have Gambit's young player Astro, SMZ also on the low ground rotation looking to find the rift, but it expires just before that as you start moving towards these old builds. And you talked about, hey, can we find our old tunnel? But one aspect to consider is there's just so many like awkward situations where somebody is waiting for you and setting a trap right there, as Zynie was waiting for that player to walk right around the corner. And you never know how, like, oh yeah, this is our tunnel, it's safe, but somebody's waiting right around the corner.
This is kind of the, oh my goodness, we're not in a fun spot position for Zynie and Mongoose. They pop the rift, Slowly dropping on down. Is there anyone on the high ground? Okay, there we go. I was wondering if anyone was up there.
Oh, and another rift goes off. You see it there and hear it, but they are going to challenge for that high ground as the build comes out, gets ramped off, trying to do a side retake.
Jeez.
But still, oh, is this a three-way build battle? It is, and Zynie's deciding, nah, I got 27 builds. I'm out. Gonna pick up Eskie right there, no problem, as it gets another one onto Diller Deagle. 2 quick eliminations, and it puts him into the top 15. So a 5-point swing there for Zynie and Mongoose as he falls from the top and gets knocked down.
Yeah, unfortunately, teammate now knocked in these late game zones. There's no chance for a res at all. And Zynie, right there, builds up to the right a little bit and connects the build to the next structure. Expected players to begin to try to beam on up and knock them down. Reads it like a book, 200 IQ.
That was his old structure. We went back over. This circle has gone back and forth and back. A nice little yo-yo as the launch pad comes out right there. And Dyner and Nork are going to challenge for that next high ground. And they get a second to kind of reset. Nope, as I say that, RPG comes in and they have to build off.
Shots going in.
Oh, that's going to drop it.
Breaking the whole top structure. Do they have anything prepared? It doesn't appear so as of yet. They land on these new builds from Dyner and Nork. Build fight going on in. That's Zynie who's dropping down. You see, taking some fall damage at the point that he's now at with HP. A-Run now under 50 health, trying to challenge this fight close by. 180 pump to the dome. We'll live to see another day, and literally vaulted over that rocket, and the Elim was down to just 2 HP.
And it drops into another player's box.
Stop.
But the darts go off. But he got the siphon. He should be good. I don't think they ended up connecting because the other player ate the darts for him. So those are a true projectile, which means if another player eats them or if you dodge them, you don't take the damage from them. It's not guaranteed like the spike trap going through. So the other player eating it needs to get into the zone, and then he gets the siphon to get back in. So he has a hope and a dream on 1 HP. Will he be able to convert? Nope. Dyner finally ends Aaron's miracle run.
Wow.
But he did manage to get himself into the top 5. So now you have Nork in the top right, Astro SMZ in the bottom right on the low ground as he picks up an elim there. 3 duos remaining.
And this just looks like an easy dub for this duo up top. Rocket, heavy sniper combo. Yeah, look, this is Astro.
This is tough.
Astro's doing everything that they can, but at this point...
The miracle play would be to get out to the side and launch pad up, but he can't even do that because he has the tree above him, so he's going to hit himself. So now he's just trying to create a 1v1 in a situation. Will he be able to find it? But Dyner is still just covering for Nork. Drops out to the side, does have the boogies. If he can hit a double boogie, maybe, but it's so hard in this situation as boom.
Nope.
There it is.
Brilliantly done. Congratulations to Nork and Dyner. 8 elims in total. The victory royale as well, an 18-point game we talked about yesterday to qualify for the top 1,500 duos in Europe. They averaged about 5.8 points a game. An 18-point game here will definitely help them move towards the top half of that leaderboard. Now, right on into our next bit of action. This one taking place near the volcano. You see Sopen, our highest amount of elims at 3. 41 players left in the zone.
Yeah, and you also see Astro and Phoenix over there, Fizzy and Mr. Dinksy, Vegeta and Ghosty in the lobby. 41 players, 24 duos. Just a reminder, this is Europe. We are getting down towards those final matches, which means all the points matter, not only for a piece of that $1 million prize pool, but for lucky, or not so lucky at this point, for incredibly skilled and consistent duo players, or partners will be booking their trip to the Fortnite World Cup final in New York City on July 26th to the 28th.
Yeah, I think, we spoke earlier to the team that won, obviously, from out there in Australia. And, one question that I wanted to ask was, have they ever been to the U.S. or New York? This could be... people dream of going to New York City from across the world, and now playing Fortnite to go, not only to be able to go to New York, but then compete for $30 million. It's like, they'll never forget that for as long as they live.
Yeah, when I was talking with DRG, you saw some of the clips from the interview, but he's the 15-year-old Belgian who qualified last week on the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, hey, I just want to be the best, but this is going to be my first time ever going to the States and going to New York, and I'm really excited to just go play Fortnite with the best of the world.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's That's incredible.
It's insane, and it's to the point where I imagine some of these kids, and I say kids because the average age that qualified for week 1 was 17. They're probably going to have to get their own passports still for some of them. But what we just saw right there was one of the most awkward things that can happen in these rotations. One of the two players gets in the launch pad. The other player tries to drop in, but the launch pad gets shot out in time. That's a lot of damage from that stink coming in from Yo. And I think Venz, instead of taking the launch and flying away, dropped back onto his teammate to try to help out.
Yeah, Ravens, they're opting to stick with him, but it's going to take a little bit of additional damage to loose the utility, but they're going to try and convert it into eliminations as Ravens does go down. So Yoa is going to need to find something here as they're on that backside, and only one of the few duos who hasn't made their way into the circle. If you check that bottom right-hand side, that white indicating where that new safe zone is, the blue showing where the storm is closing in, as Yoa is trying to find that player rotating along and has a decent amount of build, so should be okay here.
Unfortunately, teammate Ravens did go down. I didn't realize the name was Ravens.
I'm assuming that's a special character. And also, guys, special characters aren't that cool. Yeah,
they're come on, guys, please. And smiley faces as well. Yeah, I called someone apparently had the name Wiffle yesterday. It was an X where the I would be. I called them Waffles the whole time. It was also near lunch, and I hadn't ate yet, so that probably explains it. But
to be fair, waffles are delicious.
They are.
If you choose pancakes over waffles, you're wrong because waffles have syrup pockets.
Wow, that just got intense there real quick, and I'm sure that's going to spark some debate about this one. But there's no debate right now that BELAEU and Kaxie are trying to eliminate this player just on the edge of the cliff, and they're frantically building it. There it goes.
And we've seen BELAEU. He was the 21-year-old Finnish player qualifying for hREDS for the solos, now trying to make a late push up that duo leaderboard, trying to be one of the players. We were talking about how there might have been a repeat qualifier coming out of Oceania and Asia. That got denied. Will anybody in EU be the first to do it, or will it be 8 brand new faces going to New York as Yoa goes down to Zest in there? An incredibly close shotgun fight, but will he be able to get it? It does get Soapin to have exactly 50 HP through the siphon, now down to 14 courage.
Literally almost anything in the game one-shots him if he gets tagged here. Trying to build on through the focus of so many, and because they were still moving into the zone, they were the target of everybody right there. We are right on the edge of this map again.
Yep, for right now, the zone is edging towards the side of the mountain, but here they are on the high ground as the rift comes through.
And you can see it's moving back towards a few of those builds. 21 players remaining in total in this one right now. Big building up top, trying to just blanket out that high ground for the moment. Now having peace of mind that they can look back down and lay down some fire.
Yep, giving them some space. Not a whole lot of players even challenging remotely near the high ground, so they can actually opt to drop down whenever they want. But for now, just opting to really rain down assault rifle shots and stay safe. They want to get to that next placement threshold of top 10 for 2 more points.
Here's Kaxie. Team out again. BELAEU, as you mentioned, BELAEU did land furthest in the zone. He actually wound up taking some storm damage just to be able to set up as far ahead as possible. They've now reached the top 10 with that elim right there. So that's 5 points earned, plus that elimination puts them at now 6 points for this game.
Yep, great work from them, and they are still one of the few duos remaining in this lobby. There's a lot of solo riders coming out, so if they can work together and keep getting more elims, this could turn into a big point game from them. Currently sitting on 7 points total. 9 players in the lobby, 6 duos remaining, so 1 more has to fall. Then it's all about eliminations and the victor, as we still got a couple balls hanging around.
So they made it into an expedition site. They're using this as natural cover for the moment, which I love, this idea. Farming a little bit as well.
Yeah, but need to be careful when those do pop down. They are incredibly loud, so the players will know you're there, could potentially get a cheeky wall replace or a cheeky shot off. But since they are one of the lone duos, they'll probably be one of the aggressors, one of the ones driving the action here. As you hear, still a couple of those grapplers going off for the ballers, trying to stay in this match. But, oh, look at the bottom right. Look at where we're going. We're quite literally going off the side for the end.
Oh, my goodness, if it makes it all the way there. Chewed up a name we've seen multiple times today throughout the broadcast. It's unfortunately fallen victim there, top 5. So with that elim again, they were the reason why they placed the top 10 with the elim. Now the reason why they placed into the top 5 with that elim. Another one comes on through. You mentioned how they're one of the final couple duos here. There's one other duo remaining.
Yep, trying to find the shots here, working together. Look how they're taking multiple angles to pressure into this box,
so
converting
perfect
on that there. And we know now they definitely have more than the 2 elims. That counter not going. So this is definitely a big game
2 versus
for
2.
Kaxie. And yep, like you said, 2v2. You have Doogie and Big in the top right, Kaxie in the bottom right with his partner hREDS, BELAEU. But Doogie and Big are sitting on 100, 100 and ultimate high ground right now.
They're just trying to bust through this low side. Kaxie attempted for a second to try to pop a med kit. Didn't wind up working out. The material's being burned through right now from Kaxie. Only 13 total builds left. We are about to be off the edge of the map, folks.
Big challenge. He went down, though.
Big immediately knocked. It's now a 1 versus 2. The challenge comes in as well, and Doogie goes down. They dropped on in and wind up falling just short. Kaxie earns that extra health to stay alive, and it seemed like that challenge even caught you off guard right there, Sunday.
It didn't make sense to me as to why they would go separately. If you're going to challenge and leave the high ground, you need to go together from 2 different angles. If you go one at a time, you just get pincered.
What an end to the European matches right there. I know Zeke is down on the floor to